Hello, welcome back to our channel. Today we are launching our new section projects where we will be sharing selected projects, collaborations, creations, and let's say more about my path as a designer and our work as a design consulting firm. And to begin with, I wanted to share with you my experience when I was working in China with the Chinese market specifically. Living in Shanghai was actually an experience that was never in my bucket list. I am a very multicultural person, but I never thought I would have ended up in China. Despite that fact, I learned a lot. It gave me a lot as an experience. As you know, China is a very sexist country, and I knew as soon as I got there that was going to be one of my biggest challenges to surpass. I lived in Shanghai for 2 years, 2014, 2015, and I moved there to open the accessories and footwear department of a Chinese brand called Bobillon. Working in the Chinese market was a very, not just challenging because it was, but it was also very surprising, very fast-paced, not just industry, because the fashion industry, it's always fast-paced, but a very fast-paced city, even more than New York. And that sounds crazy, but it is. Design-wise, among the things I liked the most and I learned the most of working in China, I was coming from New York, and before that I was coming from Milan. I worked at Oscar de la Renta, at Alexander Wang, at Jill Sander in Milan. So among the things I learned the most is that the Chinese market is an extremely, not just broad, but they love different things. Whereas in the Western world, we're more kind of like with uniforms. In the Chinese market, creativity is extremely priceless. Like, it's just, if you're in Shanghai and you look down in the subway at people's shoes, you will see such an immense diversity. It's endless. Something that would never happen in a city like Milan, for example, because we're more classic. So what I love the most about working in China is that anything, like the craziest thing, could be done and sell, which was really nice. I think that as a creative person, it's something that can give you a lot. Production in China, it was cheaper. But why is it so cheap? Definitely the working conditions tend to be terrible. And of course, in here I'm generalizing. I can't say that all the factories are terrible. That's not true. There's also good factories. There's also good employees. But usually factories are under terrible conditions. You can see that there's one worker every centimeter square. It's like they're all there together. The sanitary conditions are not nice at all. And China is an extremely cheap country if you live as a Chinese. Like, let's say that, for example, if I would go and eat a wrap at American Deli or something like that, I would spend about 15 to 20 euros. Whereas if I would go to have lunch at a Chinese place, like a lot, I would spend like 1.5 euros. So China is a very cheap country if you live it as a local. And that's why salaries can also be low and people can still live under decent conditions. And when I say decent conditions, is that to them it's normal to leave the entire family. So mom, dad, grandparents, child, all together in a one bedroom, for example. So I would say that that's among the reasons why they don't complain about their terrible salaries. And that's why the production is extremely cheap. It has increased a lot, and that's why companies are moving to countries such as Vietnam or Bangladesh, Turkey as well. But yeah, definitely I even saw factories where people would make lines to start stitching, and like literally they wouldn't even go to the bathroom, because if not they would lose the position for stitching. Yeah, that was terrible to see. The difference between producing in Italy versus China is, I don't want to speak about the quality, because what I try to explain in general to people coming to Italy, or my clients, or in general, let's say, is that once the things are made by machines, the difference if you make it in China, Italy, or Venezuela, it's none. Basically, you just need an operator that knows how to operate the machine. But there are many differences. Italians tend to be more empathetic. They are, let's say, it's the fact is that being a Western country, it also has, you tend to know more how to work with them, no? And Italians are Latin, so in general they are very nice. Chinese instead are shyer. It's not that they're not nice, they're shyer, and they're less joyful. They're very straightforward, like, I want this and that's what you want. In Italy, it's more like blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, Italians are very well known for just like talking and blah, 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 blah. The quality, if we're speaking about craftsmanship, it's much better in Italy, of course, rather than China. And that's because China is a country that is like, the population is a crafty population, but they're concentrated in volumes. And when you're concentrated in volumes, you can't achieve beauty or perfection when using your hands. So Italy in that case is much better, of course. In Italy, you don't have such volumes. The biggest factory I've seen, factory for third parties, not, let's say, Loro Piana or Todd's Group. I'm speaking about factories that produces for other brands. I think the biggest one I've seen is 25,000 meter squares, and it's just one that I've seen like that. Let's say that the normal capacity in Italy is to make 400 pairs of shoes a day. That's the normal capacity. A factory in China can make 5,000 pairs of shoes a day, and that's like average. So of course there is an enormous difference, and therefore there's also an enormous difference of the client that goes there, because coming to Italy to starting a brand, it's much easier than going to China, because if you go to China and say, I just want to produce 100 pairs of shoes, to them is like, okay, that's the sample we produce for one style and one color. So there's a huge difference. Entering in the Chinese market as a brand was my second experience of working with China, because first I went there and I lived in Shanghai for 2 years working for this brand where I created the accessories and footwear department. But then after many years, I opened my footwear brand. Actually, just after I came back from China, I came back to Milan and I decided to launch Aletheia, which I had for almost 4 years. And during our second collection, we were at a trade show, and we started conversations with a Chinese showroom, and they managed to sell our second collection in 5 different cities within 1 month. It was crazy. So working, like entering as a brand in the Chinese market, made in Italy, it was amazing because Chinese love the made in Italy. And also in that moment, China and Italy made an agreement where the taxes were much lower. So there was much more space for us. And also Chinese, they appreciate a lot the quality and that savoir-faire that comes from Italy. So I think that if you have that component, like something super creative, that was our case. It was something very niche and very conceptual. And something made in Italy, in China, you have so many opportunities to grow as a brand. If you want to know more about what I've been learning and what I've learned in China, I really invite you to go visit our Instagram. We did some content regarding that. I will be sharing much more regarding our projects. I actually have really cool things on 3D renders, footwear design, trend research, and some collections we've been working on and we have worked on. So hope to see you in our next episode of our projects. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much, and see you the next episode.